Our Woodland Brutality experience started with a red-eye flight from Phoenix to Dulles. Took off at 11:59, I believe, landed at 7 in the morning, which was nice. We were greeted with our 1994 Buick Roadmaster rental car, complete with Fleetwood Mac Greatest Hits cassette pre-installed, which is a nice touch. We spent most of Thursday in Harper's Ferry, walking around, enjoying the views, learning about the history, and catching up on sleep as best we could for Friday's brutalness. I was competing in the Armored Plus P division as usual. However, there was no Trooper division, unlike Desert Brutality last year, so it should be easy, right?
Stand by.
Our first stage of the day was the trench stage. We start by getting 3 hits on this target with our pistol on the right side of this tree, move to the left side, 3 more hits.
1, 2, 3.
Run to the other tree, 3 hits from the right side, and then from the left side you get 2 hits, drop the magazine, and you have 1 shot in your chamber. If you miss, it's a 60-second penalty. We do this as a way of quickly clearing our pistols so we can safely reholster them, as well as adding an extra challenge. We run into the trench, and I need to draw one of 9 wooden eggs with a number painted on them. The number corresponds to the shooting position from the trench. And the target from this first position was extremely hard to see, especially with just a red dot, no magnification or anything.
Keep going.
I think I find it, but I don't know what I was shooting at.
Fuck, where is it? Down and then up.
Waste a bit more time until I finally see it.
1, 2.
Another thing I found out was that my bipod, which is, well, normally having a bipod is a big benefit in terms of stability, on this uneven terrain, in this soft, crumbly dirt and rock mound, it was more of a hindrance than a help. You can see me struggling to just plant it and get a solid resting position. I would have been better off just laying it flat with the bipod folded. But these are the things you learn at a match like this. Another thing to point out is that on this stage, when you were in the trench, there was kind of a more relaxed 180 roll, so I was allowed to technically point the rifle slightly uprange as long as the rifle was pointed in the trench, just to make maneuvering through the trench a bit easier.
1, 2.
I have no trouble finding it that time.
3.
And you can see my right earplug also came out. Didn't take the time to try and put it back in. Figured I'd just roll with it, not let it slow me down.
2.
So, yeah, my right ear took a bit of a beating, but it's alright. You can see my rifle sliding with each shot as the bipod struggles to maintain a grip on this loose dirt. And then here it's a combination of my bipod not being very stable as well as just rushing the shots. I see the target, I'm just not taking my time, and I'm fighting with my bipod, trying to keep the rifle stable.
Last one. 3.
From the other 2 positions,
Is that the last one?
hitting the targets wasn't particularly hard. It was just a matter of getting down there and getting in position.
1, 2.
And I draw my last egg, but I wasn't sure if it was the last one, so I run back, and sure enough it was. So
Yep, you're fine. But it doesn't add to your time because you didn't fire a shot.
No, making me run a bit.
overall, not the cleanest run, but
Could
could have been a lot worse.
Okay.
There were plenty of people who wasted way more time than I did trying to find the first target, so not great, but decent start to the day. I am 32nd out of 47 in Armored Plus P, and 111th out of 186 overall. Our next stage was a pistol-only stage in a 360-degree bay, which was kind of cool. I've never shot in one of these before.
Think so? Shooter ready. Ready.
Yes.
Stand by.
You start with needing 4 hits on these 2 spinners, strong hand only.
That hit?
Then run to the next position with both hands now. You need to neutralize both the Texas star on the left, which I make short work of. And then I forget to hit the 2 plates on the Y spinner right here. And all these red steel targets, these are all no-shoots. And if you hit them, it's a 60-second penalty. So you gotta be careful not to hit them, but I still waste no time, get all my hits real quick. I proactively reload here before engaging one of the spinners. And I don't know what happened here, but my pistol started malfunctioning on me. Not exactly sure what was going on, but take care of it quickly. I need to spin one of these spinners to complete the stage, and if I wanted to, I can spin the other one for a 30-second bonus. And I get real close there, but then it starts to get to me. These spinners, it's all a mental challenge. Hitting the plates is not the problem. It's the timing and the mental stress of knowing you're that close and not throwing your game off. But eventually I start getting my hits again and get it over.
Okay,
I decide not to go for the second one.
Pull trigger and hold.
I'm just happy with getting the one.
Range is clear. Reset him.
I am 22nd out of 47 in armor plus P and 72nd out of 186 overall. This is the Casper Drill stage.
Low draw makes
Starts with 3 pistol targets. The right one is at 40 yards, the middle is at 50, and the left is at I don't know. 3 hits on each. For the left target, you need 2 hits, drop your magazine, and you have 1 shot left in your chamber. If you miss, it is a 60-second penalty.
Alright, drop your hands by your sides and relax. Okie dokie. Shooter, do you understand the course fire?
Yes, sir.
Shooter, are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
We had just finished our stage 3, which was the pistol-only stage, which I did quite well on. And I was still a little bit jumpy, still a little bit excited by that, so I was going quicker than I should have. Missed more shots than I should have, but still did fairly well. And then here, I get my first hit, and my second hit glances off of it. The RO didn't call it a hit, so I had to put my magazine back in, get my second hit again, and then drop the mag,
There you go.
and I get my penalty shot. So reholster, grab the kettlebell, run.
Oh yeah!
Don't worry, Henry, you won't be smiling for long.
Gas it up.
Our RO's advice for this stage was to yell at the kettlebell. It'll make it go farther. So I took it to heart. I need 2 hits on the center target from each position that the kettlebell lands.
Do this. Ah, shit. Yeah!
The rifle shooting on this stage is frankly trivial for me. Off the bipod at this range, it's just not a challenge. It's everything in between that is the challenge.
Go, go, go! Come on, clean this up. Yeah!
That's it. Yell at it.
I think it works.
It does. 1, 2.
Yeah!
With each of my
Good
throws,
place.
I make
Keep it
sure
up.
to get a little extra wind up right here before actually throwing it. It's good to make sure you get as good of a throw as possible to minimize the total number of iterations you have in your run. So it's good to take that little bit extra time to save iterations of going down and shooting.
Yeah! Good pace, good spin!
Yeah, I definitely spun it like that on purpose. Don't worry.
1, 2.
All right, keep it going.
It's right about here that I'm
Breath.
just about done with this
And let
stage,
it out.
but
Yeah!
I still got some ways to go. So pain is for off the clock after all. So keep shooting till you're done.
1, 2.
Yeah!
One, two.
Keep her going. Final stretch. Yeah!
As was the case at Desert Brutality, this was by far the most physically strenuous stage.
One more.
No doubt about that.
Give me a big one.
Strong.
And of course,
Come on.
my throw here lands just before the finish line,
Plenty of time.
so I have to get my shots, get up, and do a little baby throw right
Get it
here,
over. Little toss.
just to get over the line.
And shoot.
Here we
From
go.
the fault line.
Hey!
All right.
And you can hear my squad back there
7.1.
cheering.
All right. Shooter,
Believe me, I
unload,
was
show clear.
I was
Nice
very
job.
happy to be done with the stage, and I was very happy with my performance as well. So, yeah, that was an ass kicker,
You're Smith.
but
207.
I kicked its ass right back. I am 14th out of 47 in Armored Plus P, and 41st out of
Unload, show clear. If you're clear, hammer
186
down
overall.
range.
You understand the course of fire?
For this stage, we
Shooter,
had
are
a
you ready?
50-pound bag of brass and other loose materials,
Stand by.
affectionately named Mr. Jingles, strapped to my back for the whole stage. Starts with 3 pistol targets, getting 3 hits on each, going from right to left sweeps, and simply pivoting, turning right to left with this big weight on my back was an interesting experience and a lot harder than it normally is. Again, for the last shot, drop the magazine, you get 1 shot, and make the hit, no penalty there. Holster the pistol and move up with the rifle. And just moving is a challenge in and of itself right now. You need to be very deliberate stepping over these logs and stumps to get into your shooting position. And again, the shooting itself was not particularly hard. These targets were not very far away,
There you go.
but everything in between was the challenge here. And you can see there my rifle malfunctioned a bit there. The bolt didn't go all the way forward. Not totally sure what happened. I did not take the time to find out what happened on the clock. It's just when I got into my position, I pulled the trigger and just got a click. Again, didn't take the time to figure out what happened. I just cleared it, made sure it was good, carried on. And then from this last position, you need to shoot with your rifle in contact with the stump. I asked the RO if simply having one of my bipod legs touching the stump counted, and he said it did, so I shoot. But you can see my bipod is kind of slanted there.
You're 94.
I get the 2 hits, and then there's an optional bonus spinner down there. And normally I can drill a spinner really pretty easily off my bipod, but because it's at such a slant, you can see it wobbling around so much. The recoil was throwing me off, and I wasn't getting my hits like I normally do, so I had to slow down and get 1 shot at a time on it. Not as quick as I normally do, but
Over.
get it over nonetheless and get my 60-second bonus.
11841.
11841.
It's a lot harder to drill them over when you're on a stump.
Yeah. All right, show me clear.
I am 7th out of 47 in Armored Plus P, and 25th out of 186 overall.
1 spinner bonus, no
Come on,
penalty.
get it.
This is our last real, or normal stage, I should say, for the match, and this was by far the one I was most nervous about because it involved shooting out to 400 plus yards, which is something I'd never done before. The farthest I'd ever shot this rifle, the farthest I shot ever was about 250-ish yards. The farthest I shot with this rifle was less than 200 yards. And so I was a little bit concerned about how I do because I just have a red dot on it, and I've never shot this far out. But I figured, hey, what the hell. Last stage of the day. Just go out in a blaze of glory, worst case scenario. Get my 2 hits in the chair here on these close targets. And then I move to the barricade here. Throw the kettlebell over. Move to the other side and then engage the 3 targets at approximately 400 yards each.
Alright.
You can hear my nervous alright before we start. But as it turned out, I had nothing to worry about. Shooting at 400 yards with this rifle Really wasn't that hard. For the target on the right, it was a little bit more challenging, as you'll see in a second, because it was in the shade and I couldn't quite see the target. I could only see the target stand. So with the left two targets, I aim at the target and then aimed, I don't know, like half a target length above them and just made sure I pulled the trigger smoothly and cleanly. But with the right target, I had to, I look at the stand and figure, okay, there's the stand, aim a little bit above it, that's where the target is, and then aim a little above that and say that's where I need to hold. So this third target involved a good bit of guesswork, but still got it. And the kettlebell throwing here is really more of a formality, not a challenge. It's all marksmanship on this stage. Proactively reload here, which was a good call. I only had a few rounds left in my magazine. But for the stage that I was most nervous about and I was least confident with, I ended up doing one of the best. I had one of the best runs in the entire match, which I am very, very happy with. Really psyched with how I did. I am 8th out of 47 in Armored Plus P and 14th out of 186 overall.
Range is clear. Time 1:35.93. Sick run, man.
Thank you.
1:35. With a dot and 5.
For the overall match, I got 11th out of 47 in Armored Plus P and 28th out of 186 overall. Our last stage for the day wasn't so much a stage as it was laser tag for grown-ups. We were using what's called Miles gear. It's basically military tier laser tag used for force-on-force training. It was pretty simple to set up here. Everyone had 15 rounds of blanks loaded in their, these are real rifles converted to fire blanks and shoot out lasers. If you get hit with a laser, the laser receivers that you're wearing go off and you are dead. These were just 1v1 duels. And for my run, I held back and was very cautious and careful, as was my opponent, and as a result, you get a whole lot of nothing. Believe me, you weren't missing much. We ended up just running out of time and accomplishing nothing, firing 0 shots. Fortunately, the ROs for the stage were nice enough, and it was the end of the day. They didn't have anyone. We didn't have anyone coming after us. They let me and my partner, my opponent, I should say, go one more time, and this time we would make sure we wouldn't both be defensive and passive. We would both be going for the kill. So we ran it back, went one more time, and the result was violent.
Four might be out of ammo. It's cheating to. What
are you doing?
Hey Nick, ask yourself if he fired 5 shots or 6.
Is he out?
I have a stick.
I ended up only getting 8 rounds in my magazine rather than 15, so I got screwed out of a potential win over here, but at the end of the day, it was still a ton of fun and absolutely a highlight of the whole match. And the very last stage of Woodland Brutality was actually a night stage. The premise is pretty simple. You got 20 seconds to hit these 3 steel targets in sequence, illuminated with your choice of either your own weapon, light, or night vision if you brought it, or you could use the headlights of the provided truck. the number of hits you get equates to some amount of time taken off your overall score. Didn't pay too much attention to the time. Wasn't that consequential. It was just a lot of fun to do some shooting in pitch black.
Oh!
Overall, Woodland Brutality was an absolute blast. It was 100% worth the trip, 100% worth the expense and the time off and everything. By far the best match I've ever gone to. No doubt about that. It was an absolute hoot. It was very worthwhile to, because all the shooting experience I have is in the Arizona desert, and so getting to do practical shooting and physically under physical and mental duress in a different environment in the woods was a very valuable experience. I learned a lot of things that I never would have learned just shooting in Arizona. I learned about, maneuvering through woods and trees, what kind of surfaces I can support off of, and as well as getting to shoot out to 400 something yards, which I can do in Arizona. I just haven't seeked out I had the opportunity to, I haven't seeked it out, so getting the opportunity to prove to myself I can in fact hit targets really far out there, even without any sort of magnified optic, was really fun and really rewarding. That was definitely my best. That is that's the stage I'm most happy with, without a doubt, was that last long range stage. I was quite nervous. I forgot to mention that you had the option. There was an identical kettlebell and low wall setup 200 yards down range, and you had the option, if you weren't comfortable or willing to shoot at 400 yards, you could run after getting your hits in the chair, run down range 200 yards and engage the same targets from 200 yards rather than 400 yards. I thought about doing that just because I don't know, I had no idea how it would have gone, and I didn't want to end my day with a total dumpster fire of a run. But I said, you know what, I want to challenge myself, and I want to prove to myself I can do this, even if it's tough, even if my time is slower than it could have been. I don't care. I want to do this. I want to challenge myself, and I'm so glad that I did. So that was definitely my favorite stage. Very happy with how I did with that. Also very happy with how I did on the Casper Drill stage. That's a staple of this kind of brutality match. It combines all the elements of practical shooting and shooting under stress and duress that make this style of match so fun and so compelling. So that's always a classic. As well as the Miles, the laser tag stage was, even though it was just we didn't get to do it very much, the little bit that we did was a ton of fun. Really was. Not to mention that the squad I was with was a really great group of guys. It was just a great time all around. Everyone there was a good sport. We all got along. We all hung out after the match and had a few beers and just enjoyed our time together. It was just a really fun time overall. Really happy with how it all turned out. Like Desert Brutality, there was a Nightmare division available for Woodland Brutality, and I would have signed up for it and I would have done it. However, logistically it didn't work because we did all our shooting on Friday, and Nightmare was only for Saturday and Sunday shooting, and the timing in terms of the time off we had, work and everything, it just logistically didn't work. So I had to settle for Armored Plus P, although I really kind of wanted to do Nightmare. Overall, like I said, this match was incredible. I had an absolute blast. I want to give a big shout out to InRange TV, Carl and Russell over there. They put on an amazing match. They do amazing work over on their channel. Wouldn't have happened without them, so big thank you to InRange and everyone involved there. Also, big shout out to Sam, my good friend. Helped me through all this, helped out with all the logistics of planning this trip out. And stay tuned, he's going to have his own Woodland Brutality video with editing that's actually competent and actually engaging, unlike my brutalist style of editing. So stay tuned for that. But overall, I had a really great time, and I want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more upcoming match content.